Hey everyone, I know it's been a little while, and while it does look real beautiful and feels amazing outside, we actually are in winter and slow going on the bus. Had a few things come up, got married among other things, and so finally getting back to the bus and wanted to go over a few things that we didn't quite get everything on camera. Alright, so the inside of the bus should look fairly similar, but we have gotten a few more things done. One is most of our general wiring has been run to all of our outlets, switches. You can see this. One thing I discovered, here's some of my list. One thing I discovered is that I couldn't find any 4-wire in the Marine. So I went ahead and actually just made up my own electrical taped and added a 4th wire on there. And this is for, I have 2 3-way switches, one for the entrance area and then one at the front and then back of the bus for the overhead lighting, which we're doing crown lighting. So got most of the wiring done, still have some cleanup of the wires. We've also gotten ready, so this is just laying out the base of the whole back floor. So starting at the bathroom wall, and then it'll come over here as well. 1 step up, and then the entire back floor will all be the same height. This will help in the bathroom area where we're running plumbing. We'll be able to run inside the bus, underneath the floor. We'll also be able to hide some things. The diesel heater will also be held underneath the floor. So it'll be hidden there, and then the ductwork will actually come out and either through the floor or through the baseboard into the different areas. So we have that done. You can also see I've done a little bit more, added a little bit more to the ceiling. This is a build-up of 3/4 inch, and it's 3.5 inch, and this is where our hallway wall will actually stud up. So I have a place basically to attach the framing for that. And then you can see I started adding some strips here. This is for, I'm doing actually a real thin wall here. So I'm actually gonna be framing sideways, a little less traditional. That's to save space, and you can see where I put in a header here as well. And to do this, what I'm taking is 1/4 inch plywood and just doing layers of it and building it up. This is about 1 inch thick right now, so I have 2 more layers to put in to make it 1.5 inches, so standard header height. But that's how I'm adding it to the curve of the roof. I've seen a lot of people do these different ways, putting in tons of little blocks or taking a 2x4 and cutting different grooves into it to help give it flex. This is a little trick that I picked up in a spiral staircase building book, and that's what I'm using for this. So we'll see how it goes. Should be fine, but go ahead and get that stuff started. And today what we're going to be doing is actually deleting both of the exits in the ceiling here. There's one in the front, one in the rear. I already cut out my galvannealed sheets. It overlaps the opening by 4 inches all the way around. So what I'll do is add adhesive to that. We'll drill and rivet it in place just to hold it nice and secure. Those rivets will eventually get sealed, and then we'll have waterproof paint going over that as well to help keep all the water out. In the front here, I'm also adding in a max air fan. If you've looked into building buses at all, you've probably heard all about them, so I won't go into it a whole lot because there's people who know a lot more about them. There's probably great videos out there, great reference videos on the max air fan, so I won't try to sell it to you, but that's what we're putting in. And it's actually in the same line as where our stove and oven is. There's gonna be a window, but then also the max air fan will be right in line with that. So help evacuate all those odors and smoke from the kitchen area as quickly as possible. So that's what I'm gonna be working on today. Might try to get a few other things. I did build the boxes for the windows. There's one in the front, one in the rear on the upper, and then we do have this lower emergency exit window we are keeping. So went ahead And you can see built the boxes for them. Now they're just sitting here right now, sitting on this board, but there will be added framing. It'll get all attached, framed in, and I'll have board around it so it'll be able to get trimmed in real nice. It's the same depth as this factory roof panel, back panel I guess you'd call it. And then same thing for the lower box. So all this will actually get sheeted across here, going up, and then over the box. So the front and back area are actually a little thicker than the rest of our walls. And we're not necessarily worried about filling all that in with insulation. We'll be doing the same thickness of insulation all the way around. So we'll have these little cavities that might end up boxing out, especially in the front. Might put a little built-in shelf here. Haven't decided yet, but we may end up doing something with that. All right, so the first step is you can see that I have all of my framing. I just went ahead and ran it straight across both windows. The back one doesn't matter because it is getting sheeted over, but because I do have the fan coming in here, I do need to trim this down. Now the reason I did go ahead and go across here is because I didn't know what my box was going to look like where the fan's coming in. And I want to be able to tie the box into the frame, and I'll add some cross framing here. So I left it in place, figured I would measure it, and then cut it out as needed. So I went ahead and covered the Max Air fan that I have, 14 inches. So I marked it from, if I can see it, marked it from the center, marked out 7 inches both sides. So that's where I'm cutting it. It may get trimmed back later because I might need to add the thickness of the box into that. So if it's 3/4 of an inch, I might have to cut off another 3/4 of an inch off each side. But for right now, I'm gonna do that. That'll allow me access to get through here, because with the roof raise, it's pretty tough getting up on the roof right now. I have a 6-7 foot ladder, and that makes it a little difficult. So getting in from the inside makes it a lot easier, a lot safer. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this cut out, and then we'll move to the roof and start removing these panels. Not a lot of room. I think this is an 8-foot ladder. Okay. Alright, that gives me a little bit of room. Let's get up here and get this old hatch off. It's a tight squeeze, but I can make it through. Alright, so this is what we're taking off. Should be pretty easy. It looks like it's just flanged down, some screws going through it with sealant. Hardest part will probably be to clean up the sealant. I don't know if you can see from there, but both of these have cracks in them, and we've actually had leaking, and it's been causing some issues in there. So replacing these is actually, they need to be replaced or sealed anyway, so this will be good. So I'm gonna grab my screw gun. Looks like there's maybe 5 screws on each side. Do that, see if we can pry it off, clean off the sealant, prep the surface, and then we'll put down the new panels. Bit windy, so I'm going to be doing as much of the work from inside that I can. And these are all coming out real easy, which probably isn't a good sign. I mean, I had screws that were inside that didn't come out this easy, and they're not breaking, they're coming out whole. That's all the screws, and I'm gonna double check, make sure there's nothing on the inside, and then try to start prying it all up, I guess. Just get underneath this. It's sealed real good, but if this is original, I mean, this thing's over 20 years old, and I would say it's possible that it is. Maybe they've added extra sealant to this outside, but yeah, it's cracked. I see tons of like this broken on this side. Right. Just around this way. Yep, broken on this side. Alright. Yes, sir. Let's take a peek So yeah, you can see where the pieces, the corners, 3 of them were all broken, and then the actual panel had some cracks in the side. It actually had 3, but it was only leaking in 1. So what we're gonna do now is get all this cleaned up. The new panel overlaps this by 4 inches on each side, and that should give me plenty of sealant. I'm actually gonna add some sealant underneath of it, especially where I'm drilling the holes at, and sealing where the rivets are going in, and then we'll rivet in place. I think this is like a butyl tape. I only had gray stuff, but maybe they make them in different colors. I don't know. But that's the consistency. It's not a tar consistency. Like, it's not sticking to me, but it's like taffy. And it seems to have worked because it held up for just about 20 years. Well, see, that was holding some water. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there's some water here. Didn't make it in, but didn't make it in the bus, but made it under here. Another thing, so this is a 24 or 30 inch opening here. The max air fan only needs 14 max. So I'll be putting in the bigger panel, but then we'll be cutting out the smaller access hole for it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that I'll probably do it on the ground now that I think about it. Do that first, because I can trace it, cut it out easier, and then we'll install the whole thing. So the fan will be mounted by the end of the day. It's almost 4 o'clock, and I still have to go get my air tank for the air riveter. So I'm hoping to get this done. I might only get one of these done today. I said it's still winter, we still have short days. Sun's already on its way down. So I'm gonna keep working at this. Kind of depends on how long this takes. Get all this cleaned up, and then we'll keep going from there. I wonder if, because it's cold, I know I'm wearing a t-shirt, but it's still only in I think high 40s today. It's mostly because I've been running around. It's the breeze is cool, but I wonder if doing this while this has all been cold makes it easier. This isn't gumming up as much as if there was heat. I don't know. Where is it? like how some things are just brittle in the winter. Now, I'm not super worried about getting every single piece. It's going to get pretty much all cleaned up. I'm not going to, you know, take this down the metal or anything, because I'm overlapping so much, and I'm going to be gobbing on so much glue sealant underneath of the panel. But then also, just like they did, I'll be caulking the outside with sealant, and then it'll also get the rooftop protectant sealant when we get to that this spring. So I'm gonna get as much as I can reasonably without actually stripping paint or anything. So I'm gonna keep working on this and check back in a few. All right, the sun is going down. We've been working on getting this all cleaned up. I have my panels, but I had to cut this one out. Forgot my metal blades at the workshop, so I had to take it there. So here we are. We'll probably only get the front panel done today. The back one's easier because it's just a block off panel. We won't have to cut a hole in it because it's not getting a max air fan. So what I did was I measured out and traced out where the flange is going, so I can add in all the glue. I'm using a adhesive, the same thing that we glued the foam and flooring down with. So I'm gonna put all this on. I'm gonna put this panel in place. We're gonna drill and rivet it, and then if we still have enough daylight, we'll go ahead and drill and attach the flange for the max air fan and get it mounted. So everything's set up, got my rivets, drill bits, everything. I'm gonna go ahead and get all this glued, move it into place, slide this in, and then start drilling and riveting. And yes, I can fit through this hole. All right, can I get the sealant? Would you like to do this? Would you like the honors? No? Oh, that's right. I'm doing one continuous bead, and then I'm going to go in with filler. Make sure this is nicely coated. It's a workout. Gonna keep oozing out a little bit. Let me actually wipe that. All right, now I'm gonna move the panel into place. Looking good. All right, now I'm gonna start drilling and riveting, starting with the front. I didn't hit that electrical box by chance, did I? No. Oh. We're losing the light quick, so I'm trying to hurry up. Skipped a couple every other rivet on this. We're gonna add them in more later because I'll have to get back up here. So went ahead just to get it down for right now. And I have the flange for the max air fan, and I'm going to make it a little easier to put the screws and stuff in, I'm gonna mark all the holes and I'm gonna pre-drill them undersized so that way the screws have something just to bite into. They're not self-tappers that come with the kit. So I'm just gonna drill it much smaller, about half the size of the screw, and then we'll put the flange on. So glad I can fit in this. Alright, drill these out. Got them pre-drilled, and I'm going to go ahead and screw this into place. We did not have the right caulking for this, and we've pretty much are losing the light now. Sun is down. It's pretty. Sun is down, so I want to get this in place for the evening. That way if we have any, I don't think we have any real rain, but in case we have some sprinkles that might come in, we don't have this big gaping hole in here. So I'll probably only put a couple screws in this and then set the vent on top, and then we'll pick it up the next day. I need to drill these out more. Wow. these screws aren't super great. I think I might have to replace them with some self-tappers maybe. Yeah, because they are just stripping out. Even drilled out. I'm gonna run some self-tappers in it for tonight. It's also getting real windy, so I'm trying to get this done. And these are hex head self-tappers. Again, this is more just to kind of weatherproof it a little bit for the night. Alright, looks like it's made a nice positive seal, and I'm just gonna, my battery's about to die, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the fan on here, attach it, and we'll finish it up tomorrow. Hey everyone, right now we are going to be working on the wiring for our Max Air fan. It's gonna be pretty straightforward. We got positive and negative. Hook those up. Negative is just going to go to body, screwed to the body, and then the positive is going to just run to a DC little fuse box over where the house fuses are, and it'll be all wired up, so this will be a pretty short section, but want to go ahead and document it. Alright, so one of the things we actually didn't record was the running just the power wire. We don't have it all tied up or tidied up yet. We still have to add more chafe protection on all of our electrical. But we did went ahead and ran this down to the home DC fuse block and ran it up here. I am going to be punching this through a box. I know a lot of people don't, but we decided just to go ahead and do it. I'll be actually slipping on some press fit knockouts or wire retention later through the knockouts. So we won't have that here, but that'll get done later on. So essentially we're gonna go ahead and get started. Start off with just the ground wire first, connecting it to the bus, and then we'll move on to connecting the hot wire. The first step of this is I'm gonna go ahead and this, on the fan, the white wire is our ground. So I'm just gonna be running it over and attaching it to one of the hat channel. I'm gonna leave a little extra room. There's gonna be a box built here, and I'll have to drill through that. So I'm gonna leave a little extra wire on here, but basically I'm just gonna find about how much I want. Probably about that much, leave a little extra. I'm just gonna cut it. And what I'll do is I'll strip the end, and then I'm putting on a little, you can see that, just a little connector there that I can run a screw through. I can't remember what these are called. And then I'll also be putting on some shrink wrap just to protect it a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I can't hold the camera and do it at the same time, so you'll just have to watch from a distance.
You said the name of that earlier, I think.
Yeah, I totally did. But I'm not worried. Oh, here's my new one, yeah.
Yeah.
There. So I went ahead and stripped the end of the wire. I'm gonna add this little shrink wrap tubey thing. Can't think of the name of it at the moment. And then this little ring terminal thingy. So did I mention this isn't a how-to, it's how I do? Good.
If you can't remember the name of something, just say, as my wife calls it.
Yeah. Blame you.
The ground wire end doohickey metal thingy.
Alright. And just need to shrinky wrap it. Does this fall? And then you have the screw and the thing.
You do have the screw and the thing.
Alright, now I'm just using a self-tapper. I'm going to go ahead, add this onto the bus. Try not to wrap your whole wire up. Thank you. Alright, that's done. So now we're going to connect these two wires with one of these fancy built-in shrink wrap. What do you call these? A solder seal wire connector. We're gonna use these are real nice because it has the solder in there. It's a low temp, so it's actually gonna melt the solder to the wires, and then the shrink tube makes a nice watertight connection. Shouldn't have to worry about water, but it's a nice simple connector to add these in. There we go. Alright, we'll feed this through. I'm going to leave a lot of extra because I can just bundle it up in here, but I do want it to be accessible if I ever need to replace the fan or anything, that this power wire will be able to reach into the box area of the fan. Alright, I already have these two stripped, so I'm going to feed one through. And we're going to kind of braid the wires together. This just helps with the connection. Do a little twisting. I'll let you see that too. So kind of braid them together.
Yeah.
And then put it right in the middle. And now add some heat. Yeah. Pop the breaker. We got this nice and soldered. So we're just gonna keep this up in here. And then the next step is to go out to our breaker panel, which is on the outside, and get the last spade terminal attached to the other end. Get that plugged in, add a fuse, and we should have power. We're here at our outdoor DC panel, the home panel for the bus. It's definitely a mess. There's a lot of things we're gonna be removing. Flasher units. It's even got an old flasher unit that instead of taking out, someone just left in there and replaced with this. Not tackling it today, but what we are tackling, this is our hot wire, and this is a nice little fuse block here that has 5 unused pieces on it. So we're gonna go ahead and just put a spade connector on our wire, tap in right here, pop a fuse in it, and we should be good to go. So Kelly's gonna go ahead and work on that. We're leaving a little extra wire there. So Kelly's just gonna slide on our shrink tube, and then she will crimp on the spade connector. Definitely not gonna make her nervous with that, so we'll just look at some of this. A lot of this is probably coming out. I'm not just chopping away at everything. I just got a brand new multi-tool, so that'll be nice. But gonna try to relieve some of this area of some of all of this just stress-inducing copper and rubber. There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of things that aren't even connected anymore. Again, a lot of the flasher units. I know some things are tied together, so this will be probably, even once we're living in the bus, I might try to clean some of this up. There's no priority on it, but we're going to attack that later. All right, so Kelley does have the
maybe I need to tighten it a little more.
Might need to tighten it a little bit more. And then because we're out here, our extension cord won't reach for our heat gun, so I'm probably gonna grab a lighter. All right, that should be good. We're gonna slide the shrink wrap over it, and then we'll get that connected on. All right, and now she's shrink wrapping. Try to get under it a little bit more. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Now rotate the wire a little bit, get full coverage.
I did
awesome.
Not have a great.
Perfect. She says it's not perfect. All right. And then you get to test it with your fingers. And if it melts to your finger, it's still too hot.
Let's try to your face.
Okay. Awesome. 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 Cool. And then I'll have you go ahead and plug it in. We're just going to plug it into that top one. We'll secure that wire later.
Like?
Yep. So you plug it on top of the spade.
Oh, like that?
Yep.
I see.
Like I have to wiggle it a little bit. Perfect. And then there's that fuse on top. I only have a 15 fuse laying around. It calls for a 5, so we are going to swap that back out before we're using it. We're probably going to be adding in some other things in here, but we'll go ahead and check and see if it's all working. Moment of truth. Let's see if it works. Oh yeah. And that is blowing, it's blowing out right now, but it is working. We do have a remote with this, but you can change the speed. You can have it blow in or out. I believe it even has auto rain detection. But that's it. Kelley and I got this all wired up in probably 20 minutes or less. Probably less if I wasn't filming. And it's all gonna work. We have, still have to clean up the wiring and everything, but this is ready and will be a functioning part of our bus, along with our diesel heater, which is already working, which is really exciting. We had that on earlier. And just a few more things left to button up before we actually spray foam, and then the real fun begins. We'll see you then.